Another edition of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin. And for all of those in the chat waiting, we appreciate your patience. Yes, it was my fault that we are late. No, I was not fixing my hair. It is my sister's 42nd birthday today, my oldest sister, one of my life heroes. So shout out to my sister for 42nd birthday. But we're here not talking about birthdays. We're going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens, Glenn. But first of all, how was your Thanksgiving, my friend?
Thanksgiving was good. It was more food. It's always more food than is even necessary, yet there's always stress surrounding if there would be enough food, but there's always inevitably too much food at the end of the day. So I will say I ended the day with a cramp in my side that was tough to shake because I just overstuffed myself, Jimbo. Like, here's the problem. When there's 5 different kinds of pie, I want a sliver of all 5 slices. I need to taste a little bit of each. And so, yeah, I ended up with it was not good. And the whole night I felt just uncomfortable. But I brought it on myself. I had no one to blame but myself.
Yeah, look, next time we'll invite Daniel Falele over. And one of the reasons he's so big is because he's learned the proper Samoan shake, the Tongan twist. That's what you do to get the food down so you make more room. That's what the Polly's employ, dude. So we'll have to do a little bit of those techniques next time. But, yeah, shout out to all those who prepped and helped make Thanksgiving great. We had a good one down here, so it was a lot of fun. But all that being said, we hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving as well. And unfortunately, the Raiders didn't get it done for us tonight. But let's talk about our sponsor, Glenn, and what new is going on at BetOnline and how we can make some money this holiday season.
Yeah, speaking of the holiday season, why not head to the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting, BetOnline. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with constant real-time odds and action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, and boxing, head to the website today to see why BetOnline is America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Yeah, Jimbo, this is a game where I'm really interested to see Lamar. First of all, Lamar Jackson against another NFC opponent. An NFC opponent that, again, doesn't have a lot of exposure to the Ravens and specifically Lamar Jackson. But look, this could be a Super Bowl preview here, Jimbo. These are 2 really good teams.
Glad you brought that up.
I mean, they're playing. I think they've won 7 in a row. The Eagles have. They obviously have the pedigree of been there before. Kind of been there, done that. But they are so similar to us, Jimbo. A lot of similarities between these 2 teams. And really, it starts with the fact that both teams brought in a veteran running back, and it really changed their team in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'm glad you're starting there, Glenn. I know we're going to start with injuries as well, but to your point, from a high level, this is going to be a fun one because there's a lot of pride. Certainly, there's respect that they have for one another as players. A lot of pride there too, right? Like Derrick Henry. I know Derrick is not a stats guy. He wants wins. He wants a championship, but that when he starts seeing people pass him on the board, on the leaderboard, we all inevitably, trust me, I get my extra sweat on the Peloton when I see people passing me on the leaderboard, right? So Derrick Henry, I'm sure, starts seeing some of these things, and he starts looking around like, hold on a second.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, forgot the old 2-2 is. So I'm really looking forward to Derrick showing out this Sunday. Can't wait. Sorry, my bad. Anyway, but let's talk about who is going to be playing and who's not going to be playing, right? Because at the end of the day, at this point in the season, Glenn, attrition really starts to change teams, right? Sometimes the NFL is not a battle of talent. It is a battle of availability. Later in the season, it becomes more and more impactful. But sorry, DK, I don't know what you're saying there. But all right,
I think the one that DK had didn't have Friday on it. I could have been wrong, but I thought the one.
I see.
So I grabbed one. Shout out to Jonah Schaefer who had one that.
My bad.
It's all good. But I just want to keep everybody most up to date. So yeah, as you can see at the top here, big one in a sense that little concern surrounding Travis Jones with a limited participation Wednesday, then doesn't practice Thursday. Good news, back to full participation on Friday. Looks like he's on track to play. That's big time. Sanusi Kane thought the injury was more serious when we saw the injury not too long ago, but obviously not. He's out there. Jimbo, how tough is freaking Charlie Kolar? This guy goes out there and breaks his arm and just finishes the game, Jimbo. Nobody even knew he had a broken arm. But the sad news is we're going to be without him for at least 4 weeks. But, man, tough SOB, Jimbo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And, he's a hand in the dirt tight end. It's not like he's out there, running routes every single time he's out on the field, right? So certainly he's got a lot of pressure on the hand, or that arm. So shout out to him.
It's going to be a little monster. It's like when you see player gone for 4 weeks, you immediately start trying to figure out who that might be. And when you see Charlie Kolar as a Ravens fan, your natural reaction might go, "Oh, thank goodness it's not one of the key contributors." But don't sleep on the contribution that Kolar brings to his team as a blocker. But then also he makes those clutch key catch. He don't make a lot of them, but when he makes a catch, it's usually a clutch catch, an important catch,
it's
kind
usually
of a
big
play.
Yeah, it's usually a big play because of the deception that is later into our offense. Right, because you kind of lull him to sleep with a lineup, and then all of a sudden Kolar breaks a big one, and it's a 36-yarder. It's a 38-yarder, whatever it is. What did he say? The fat white guy is screaming on the field or whatever.
That's right.
So yeah, that deception is a part of our offense, and certainly he's a big piece of that. So it's a good point, Glenn.
Yep.
I'm excited to see that Michael Pierce is back.
Yes.
And the other thing I'll say too, for Travis Jones, I think that's gonna be the recipe for the rest of the season until he gets.
Just keep him healthy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that one doesn't concern me totally, but yeah, I'm glad to see Michael Pierce back because we're going to need him late in the season for sure.
In this game.
Yeah, big time. And look, right behind him, right behind him, of course, Roquan is back. People have been poo-pooing the impact of Roquan this season, but certainly we saw it in the last game, him not being out there. And
we can't discount how much the J.K. Dobbins injury changed that game also.
Yeah.
J.K. was having success, and him going out, I think, did change there. And look, Malik played well, but he's not Roquan Smith. I think Roquan Smith is just a far more athletic player, can run a lot better. And Malik, you played well, but if Roquan's back, he gets his snap count back and he gets his green dot back, and hopefully he'll be out there. TJ Tampa dealing with some ankle issues, limited participant. We'll see if he gets out there. And then Kyle Van Noy, that's a doubtful. That one could be bad. They have a good – they might have the best offensive line in football, but I do think that their tackles could be had with some speed. And so it's a little bit of a bummer to see that Kyle Van Noy might not be able to suit up. But good news is Broderick back out there, just had a rest day, and he's expected to play as well.
Yeah. That is a tough one because it does with Van Noy. It does a few things. Not only, of course, Van Noy not being out there, but I think it makes life a little bit more difficult for a guy like Adafe who can be kind of singled out, right, a little bit more, and given less opportunities, right, because there's simply less guys out there that are significant threats. But the Eagles, of course, a little bit longer of a laundry list here. I really want to go through the guys, because obviously Saquon is playing, right, like. Mailata is playing. They're all full participants today. But when you look at some of these names, Devontae Smith is a huge one for them, in my opinion. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he missed the last game.
Yep.
If I'm also not mistaken, I don't think AJ has really had the same impact since Devontae's been out. Did I miss something there? I just feel like.
Oh, yeah. Good game last week.
Okay.
He's a monster, but
it's so much harder without a good two. You know what I mean?
And then is a bunch of guys after them too.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the ball, Darius Slay, another big piece
loss.
Another piece of that secondary out there, and at this point with it being concussion,
he's out. He's already.
He's out. So yeah, huge loss for them. Any other guys you want to point out here?
Josh Sweat looks like he's going to play, just a rest day, but look, they're guys that scare you aren't on the outside. The guys that scare team are on the inside. Now that Brandon Graham, look, they lost Brandon Graham last week, 37-year-old guy. I think he's played more years or more snaps in an Eagles uniform than any player ever. He's the heart and soul in a lot of ways of that defense, and he tore his tricep after having a sack last week. So that's a big, big loss for them on the edge. He was their biggest threat by far on the edge, and now, not as worrisome about the guys on the outside, but damn, do you got to worry about the guys on the inside. Holy smokes, they're good, and we're going to get into that here right now, I believe.
Yeah, let's do it. So, of course, as always, we kind of take the two matchups, right? So we do the offensive matchup, defensive matchup, and we switch it. So what we'll do in this one is we'll start with the Ravens offense. We'll give a rundown, of course, of where our statistics are at this point, how the Ravens are looking, and talk about some opportunities, threats, key matchups, X factors, etc., in comparison to their defense, and then we'll kind of flip the script. So, Glenn, why don't you give us a rundown on how the Ravens offense is looking, where they've improved, from a statistical standpoint or otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. So a bit of a rough start to last week's game, but 5 straight scoring drives will certainly get the offense back on track, and they're good. No surprise there. So they're still second in the league in points, averaging 30.3. They remain first in yards at 426.7 yards per play. Third down conversion, they're third at just a hair under 47%. Let's see. Red zone scoring, they stay at the top. 78.7% of red zone trips end with a touchdown. Absolutely insane. Rushing yards per game, they're second behind the team they're playing this week. They're second with 180 yards per game. They're still first, however, in yards per rush with 5.8. Passing game, they are third in yards, 246.5 yards through the air per game, and again, remain first in yards per pass at 8.9. I mean, I continue to say it, but I don't want it to be overlooked. I don't want it to just be taken for granted. The Ravens have the number 1 team in yards per rush and the number 1 team in yards per pass. I mean, that's got to break some records. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but I find it hard to believe that any team in history has ever finished the season number 1 in yards per carry and number 1 in yards per throw. I mean, Jimbo, am I crazy to say that's got to be a damn record?
No, yeah, you're not crazy to say. It's just ridiculous. I don't know what else this offense needs to do to prove itself. It's out of this world. Absolutely.
Well, I just heard, Jimbo, on national media that this weekend, Ryan Clark said this, Jimbo, that Lamar Jackson now has a chance to prove that he's the MVP. He needs this weekend. A guy who's already won it twice. This game, Lamar has to still prove himself. This guy still has to prove himself, Jimbo.
Yeah. I think it's funny. There's a quote in a song, and I'm not going to say it like the person. I'm going to talk it because I'm not cool. But he says, they said I was mad at the Grammys. Now I'm sitting here looking at my Grammy. Right? Like, Lamar's already got to. Does he? You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with your point in that, like, what else does he have to prove in this season? I mean, he's already done so much. He has a historical offense, right? But to your point, luckily Lamar's already been like, dude, hey, Ryan, already been there, already done that. Like,
yeah. It's old news, bro.
Yeah, Ryan's got to say something, right? He's a Steeler.
Yes, but he's still proving himself. It's like,
yeah, it's out of this world. Like, when did
crazy, bro? He's gonna win a Super Bowl, Jimbo, and there's still gonna be something that he has to do. Like, it's
somehow people will say Josh Allen's better.
It's just yeah. I mean, it's like crazy. This guy has to prove himself. But anyway, let's get into. Let's see. We talked about the Ravens offense. Do you have the Phillies Philly defense, Jimbo? Or you need me to help you out? Uh-oh. You there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we got you. Okay.
Oh, nice. Gosh. I'm having serious technical difficulties.
I hear you. Oh,
hold
boy.
On.
Oh, boy.
Talk. Nope.
Hello?
You can hear me, can't you?
Yeah. All right. While Jimmy fixes that, I'm going to give you the Philadelphia defensive rankings to this point. So currently they rank 6th in total defensive scoring, giving up 18.1 points per game. Yards per play, they're second, 4.7. So good. Yards per game, they're first, 274.6 yards per game. It's a good defense here. Let me see. Third down, they're third, 32% of the time. Opposing offenses convert. Fourth down percentage, they're 25th. But, I mean, how many times do you get faced with that? But they are 25th in fourth down stopping. Red zone scoring a defense, they are 5th, allowing opposing offenses to score 46.8% of red zone trips. Let's see, rushing yards per game, they're 7th, surrendering 99.1 on the ground. They are 11th in yards per carry, giving up 4.3 yards per attempt. And in passing, they are first in opponents' yards per pass. 6.1 yards per pass. So we have the number one passing yards per pass offense versus the number one defense in preventing. Go ahead, Jimbo.
I was going to ask you this question, Glenn. One of the things I was thinking about, have we played a defense that statistically is this good against the pass yet?
I mean, they're number one in yards per pass and number three in total yards per game. So no, I don't think so. I mean, we saw kind of a best versus best in our red zone offense versus the Chargers red zone defense. And it went pretty good in our favor. They scored, I think, every time they got to the red zone. So in strength versus strength last week, different areas, but certainly the Ravens came out on top. It'll be interesting to see how it goes this week for sure.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things that struck me as I was kind of breaking down the Eagles. I was like, Lamar has made so many defenses look abysmal this year. Not Lamar alone, of course, this entire offense, but with Slay being out, that's going to be a huge deal. Now, when I think a lot of people, when they think of a pass defense, they think of the secondary, right? I think that happens a lot. We get stuck up in looking at who their secondary players are. But really, look, Ozzie Newsome said it best. I've said it a million times. The way you improve your secondary is improve your pass rush.
You got it.
Right. And so you have to go right to their pass rush, Glenn. So I know that's one of the things you wanted to talk about as well.
Yeah, they are really good up front. Now, the loss of Brandon Graham is going to hurt. That guy is a hell of a player, and more so than just what he does on the field, the emotional leader that he is. This guy won't stop talking the entire game. I think that wears on opposing offenses, but he's a huge loss. But outside of him, Jalen Carter is terrifying, Jimbo. I know right now, Falele and Linderbaum and, McCary, you talk about worried. McCary leads the league in offensive holding calls, Jimbo. We lead the league overall, but he individually leads the entire league, and he hasn't even been a full-time starter the entire season. So Jalen Carter, it needs and deserves all of their attention. He's really good. I was listening to a member of the Philadelphia media break down this matchup, and Jalen Carter is described as potentially the best defensive player in the entire league. That's how good Jalen Carter is. He has some emotional ups and downs and has maybe some immaturity issues, but he's a young player and he's got every bit of talent that you could ask for. So he's terrifying on the inside. And then, potentially could have been a Raven who knows how things have fallen. Jordan Davis was certainly on some radar for the Ravens. He's a big run stuffing guy, not a pass rusher, but can absolutely stuff things up on the inside and make it tough sledding if you want to run up on the inside. And then Nakobe Dean, hell of a player. Man, I was watching their last game against the Rams. Dude, this guy is everywhere. He flies around the field, Jimbo. He's fast. He's explosive. He's not that big, but he plays a lot bigger than he is. He can rush the passer. He can absolutely run sideline to sideline. He has a bunch of tackles for loss already on the season. 9 tackles for loss on the season as a linebacker is pretty impressive. So, Jimbo, they're good. They're deep in the back end, like Quinyon Mitchell, first-round pick. Gardner Johnson, good player. Reed Blankenship, underrated. Cooper DeJean, your boy, Jimbo. I don't have to tell you about Cooper DeJean, but you're right in that it's their front that makes – they're good secondary, but it makes them look way better than they are.
Elite. Yeah. It's like it makes me think of the 2019 defense that was good that we had, but our offense made them on paper look so good. I think our defense last year, in a lot of ways, talent-wise, was much better. Now, Lamar also won the MVP that year too, but I feel like, strategically, our offense in limiting possessions made that defense look so much better, right? So, to your point, I'm nervous about this matchup because of the guys up front. And one of the things I'm nervous about, as I see as a threat here, is if we get down, Glenn, because they have a solid secondary, albeit beat up, and they have a legitimate pass rush. It could be concerning for us Lamar talked about, if we start slow, say we get in a 10-0 hole, right? I don't know if we just as easily climb our way back into this game. And I'm not discrediting who is the team. Of course, I'm never going to do that, but you also have to respect your opponent, right? The Ravens certainly need to come out hot, and not start slow like they did in the last game. That's a concern for me, but that's one of the threats I see in this game. moving forward. And I'll tell you what, one of the things I'm really looking forward to, because there's two things here. I think you said the Lamar still has to prove himself as the MVP. I think this would be such an incredible win for the Ravens at this point in the season. Think about this, Glenn. We've already gone through a gauntlet in comparison to other people in our division, other people in our conference. We've had a tough schedule. No bye yet.
Right.
We're taking on probably the hottest team in the NFC, I think, right? I mean, the Detroit Lions, hot too, but 1-2. And if we beat the Eagles, go into our bye, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like after this, we have a bye.
Yep.
Man, what a win. You know what I mean? For 2 weeks to sit
statement.
on the and I think that's a great opportunity for the Ravens to get a lot of wind in their sails.
Yeah.
But to that point, not only would it be a great win for them, my key offensive matchup in this game is our pass catching unit that has really rounded a corner with Bateman coming around and, Zay, of course, doing his thing. Mark every week playing more and more, making more and more of an impact, against this pass catching, this pass defending defense, right? Like if they can give themselves the confidence, not that they need more confidence, but really like put a notch, put a flag on the ground and say, hey, this was a number one passing defense, and look what we did to these guys. I think that's an incredible opportunity and a key matchup that I'm looking forward to. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you know what? I think Ravens win 16 says it best in the in the chat, and it only touches on part of it, but saying Ravens always smoke the good teams, and I think they typically do outside of maybe one or two franchises that seem to give them troubles, but 20-1, right? Isn't Lamar's record against the NFC 20-1? Like, if anyone's picking the Eagles in this game, I would just point to that. I mean, that's a lot to overcome there. But I think the thing about specifically about their pass rush is, like, if you look on the screen here, like Josh Sweat has 7 sacks. It looks like he's the guy you have to be most concerned with. But I don't think that's the case. I think Josh Sweat is very benefited by the guys around him, and I think that he gets a lot of the cleanup sacks that, when guys are running away from Jalen Carter and running away from Brandon Graham, and they run right into the waiting arms of Josh Sweat. So I would say focus more on the interior. I think our tackles will hold up just fine. Even if they do want to run some, because they will run some exotic blitzes. They'll throw some stuff at you. And don't think for a second that Vic Fangio, who leads this defense, isn't a little extra juiced up for this one after we embarrassed him when he was the Broncos coach.
Still one of our most viewed videos, right, to this point.
Yeah.
After that. Now, let me ask you a quick question, Glenn. Schematically speaking, well, I guess not schematically is not the word, but from a talent perspective, their defense, you just alluded to it. The interior pass rush is a concern for you. Something that the Ravens team, the Ravens fans should look out for when we watch this game. My question to you is that when teams rush Lamar and they bring pressure, a lot of the times they have success when they do against Lamar, is that they do so in kind of an intentional, methodical way, in that they try and keep him inside, away from getting, on the outside, certainly to his right.
Yeah.
But does this, in a weird way, make things a little advantageous for Lamar if the majority of the pass rush is coming from the interior? Because Graham is out, and that's not certainly those aren't their stalwarts on the outside like some other teams, right?
Gotcha.
Do you see what I'm saying? Do you think that this plays a little bit into Lamar's abilities to sneak out of the pocket? Does that make sense?
No, I think it does, because I think
you're getting attacked by Russia, Glenn. Glenn is getting attacked by Russia. Goodness gracious. One day Russia will pick on somebody else. Look, guys, Russia, you're not getting his credit card information. You're not getting a social security number. Just move on. Someone else. Okay? Jeez whiz. All right, we can't hear you now.
Am I back now?
Yeah, but change your mic. Change your mic to the right one. I think you might be on the wrong mic. Check it.
Where?
Yep, there you go. Yep, you're good.
Good?
You're good.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. No, I think you make a good point, Jimbo, because typically the guys that hurt us are more on the edge. And even like when Chris Jones destroyed us, a lot of that was him lining up on the edge. And if you look at like what Aaron Donald did in his time in his games against us, really relatively pedestrian in comparison to what he usually does. I think that is a good point. Nobody avoids sacks, better this year than Lamar Jackson. And most years he's right up there, but this year nobody does it better. And I think if you're not keeping him in the pocket from your edge group and you're only pushing from the center, then yeah, I think the opportunity would be for him to get outside the pocket where he can be just as deadly. So yeah, maybe Jimbo. If I got to imagine that Vic Fangio is going to have a pretty good rush plan, and that he'll probably tell his ends, get outside and stay your ass outside. Let Jalen, let Jordan Davis, let those guys push the pocket from the interior. But look, Nakobe Dean can blitz like a mug. He's quick, he's fast, he's explosive, he's powerful. Which I think the reason it could be the reason why I'm because look, we talk about our offense. Zay's going to have to be good. Zay's going to have to win his one-on-one matchups against guys like Quinyon Mitchell or your guy Cooper DeJean. But also Bateman's going to have to do his thing. Bateman, I think this could be a game where we see them try the old technique of loading the box and let their young secondary, even without Slay, it's got a lot of guys, a lot of names, and challenge us. And if we can win, I think if we can win on the outside, I think we got a shot to maybe even pull away from these. I know it sounds crazy, but
but I get it. That's what I was going to ask you. Could this be another game where Lamar takes in a lot of ways a dominant defense, makes them look average?
He could. I mean, he really could, because and the reason I say that is they're a smaller, fast group on the other than the guys on the inside. And when we saw a smaller, fast group so far this year, we've pushed them around. We bullied them. Like every smaller, fast group, the Chargers, smaller but fast, can tackle. We destroyed them. We absolutely pushed them around and ran for how many yards against them? There's a couple teams this year that have been similar, and every one of them, we just run right over them. We just absolutely destroy them. And this is why he's my X factor. Justice Hill is my X factor, and it's not because of his running ability. It has nothing to do with the 51-yard touchdown run. It's all about his pass protection. He's been an absolute savant in pass pro all year, and I think he's going to be much needed this weekend, picking up, and helping out some of these guys that might lose their initial battle. And I think Justice might be there to help him up in those passing situations. But as far as my key Ravens matchup, it's all about the interior offensive line versus Jalen Carter. And if they can limit him from being an absolute game wrecker, then I think we have a good opportunity to kind of make a statement this coming Sunday.
Yeah, let's go. I can't wait for it, man. I think that's a great point. And I'll tell you what, it's funny. I'm staying in the backfield as well. My offensive X factor, I alluded to it before, but it's Derrick Henry in this game because I'm excited to watch one of these. They put the crown on his head after the touchdown, and just him to have a dominant performance and respectfully look over at Saquon and just say, "Hey, bro,
not your turn yet."
That's right. Yeah, you're number 2 in line, my friend.
That's right.
I'm really, look, no disrespect to Saquon. We all know Saquon is out of this world and incredibly talented, but Derrick Henry is one of one in a lot of ways, and I'm excited for him to to remind people of that. So he's my X factor, because, and then on top of all the other things we already know, right? Like if Derrick Henry goes off, it really creates problems for their pass defense, because they're overly concerned about Derrick.
Well, I think, and it's not even just, I think that's a great one, Jimbo, because he's going to get if you look at, let me put it up right here. I had it up earlier because the game last week against the Rams that the Eagles had, they had the Rams had early success. They just couldn't stop their offense. But on the ground, like Kyron Williams went 16 carries for 72 yards. Averaging 4.5 yards per carry. Matt Stafford had 1 carry for 15 yards. Their backup, Blake Corum, averaged 5 yards a carry, only on 1 carry. But they were moving the ball, and then their defense really let them down. Puka Nacua, 9 catches, 117 yards. I think what they did is a strategy we should take. They ran right at Jalen Carter. They said, you can't rush the passer when you're so damn exhausted from first and second down. So we're just going to bully you. And they took those smaller guys, and they just pushed them right out of the way, Jimbo. They said, see you later. So I think if our defense can do their job, hold their own, limit the offense, keep the game close, then I think the Ravens could absolutely lean on that rush attack and just kind of bully these guys.
Yeah, cause some real problems. I like that. Awesome. All right, Glenn, you want to switch to the other side of the ball here? I'll talk about the Ravens defense a little bit, and then you can give us the breakdown on this Eagles offense. No technical difficulties this time, so I'm here for you. But the Ravens defense, is improving in some ways, staying the same in others. Still giving up 24.5 points per game, which puts them in the bottom portion of the league at 23rd. If you're talking about third down conversion percentage, still not great at 43.6%, puts them at 25th in the league. Fourth down, for what it's worth, 47, under 50%. They're 8th in the league. Red zone scoring. That's right. Yeah, red zone scoring. We're in the middle. We're at 15th.
We'll take it.
Yeah, 55%, still not great, but it kind of is what it is. Defensively, from a rushing perspective, this will be interesting this week. We're going to be playing against the leading rusher.
Yes.
But look, we're only allowing 3.5 yards per rush, and I think that he's averaging well over 5 for the season.
They're 5.2 as a team.
Yeah, so that'll be a test, and then rushing yards per game, we're number 2 at 77.9. So there's obviously that. In the air, of course, they got a good quarterback over there, not looking good, but yeah, things are. It's hard to say things are improving.
Well, they definitely are since our Darius has been inserted. No doubt.
They are. Still 31st in the league though in opposing passing yards. Now, Glenn, I gotta say this though. Do you believe that as much as I think that because we have leads often, it helps the rushing statistics? Do you think it also hurts the passing counting numbers because they're just chucking the ball more? They have to, right?
Yeah.
If they're not running it, they got to do something with it, right? Now, I'm not saying it looks pretty, but I'm saying just from a statistical standpoint, it's not great. It may be because if we have leads, it's not going to rapidly improve. But to your point, when you watch it, it looks better. Am I crazy?
No, I think I think it's a good point because a lot of people look at our rush defense and go, "Oh, we're the best rush defense in the league." But I think our rush defense is affected by the fact that by our offense and continuously being ahead of teams forces teams out of it. Now, our yards per attempt might nullify that argument, but I do think this weekend we'll kind of really see, is this rush defense as good as we think it is, or is it just benefited by the fact that our pass defense isn't that good, which encourages teams to pass more, and the fact that usually they're playing catch up because our offense is so good. But yeah, I think it certainly leads to more passing attempts against our defense when teams are, and also more like quick 2-minute drill type drives, which can affect our pass. But last year, I mean, look, every year Lamar typically has us in a lead, and we've never been this bad pass defense. So I understand your point, and I appreciate it, but I don't think we can give these guys a get out of jail free card because we're always in the lead every year.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, though, I do think on tape,
they've gotten better. Yeah.
Right. It looks better.
They've gotten better. To me, when you look at their offense, Jimbo, they're pretty good. 26.9 points per game, number 7 in the league. Number 3 in yards at 389. They're 7th in third down at 43%. They're 16th in red zone scoring, 55.8% of the time. That could be the determining factor right there, Jimbo. Rushing yards per play, they're second, 5.2, and they're first in yards per game at 193.4. Passing yards per game, 195.7. They're 25th in the league. So it's pretty clear that there's so many similarities between us in a lot of ways, but I think the biggest difference between our offense and their offense is we got a much better quarterback. As good as Jalen Hurts has been, he's been in the MVP conversations a few times and points in his career. He's no Lamar Jackson, and the comparisons, need to go away. They need to stop. There's, a lot of people say this about the Ravens, and it's just because they're just not paying enough attention. But the Ravens will be benefited if the game is put in Jalen Hurts' hands, on his arm, inside the pocket. The Ravens would be benefited. I'll put it like that, Jim.
Dang, Glenn, you're gonna do them like that, huh?
I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, I think that everyone would be happy if they forced Jalen to beat him and we're able to somehow take the monster that is Saquon out of the game. I'm going to throw up their stats here now, Jimbo, just so we can see just how incredibly good specifically Saquon and AJ Brown have been. But really their offense in general is just – it's a headache, bro. I mean, because they probably have the best offensive line in football every year. It seems like they do. So where does everything start, Jimbo? It starts right up front. And when you already have that as your starting point, it's pretty good to fill in the rest of the blanks. But Jalen Hurts here, it's really crazy because 13 touchdowns, 5 picks is so freaking pedestrian looking when you look compared to Lamar's 27-3. Like more than double the touchdowns, Jimbo, and half the interceptions. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But look, Saquon. Look at Saquon, Jimbo.
Stupid.
6.2 yards per carry.
Yeah, that's what I knew it was something crazy, right?
He's averaging 6 a carry, Jimbo. That's just ridiculous. 1,392 yards already. He's got 10 touchdowns. But it's just got to piss him off right here, Jimbo. Look at this. Jalen Hurts has 11 rushing touchdowns. I sent this to a buddy of mine who has Saquon Barkley on his fantasy football team just to piss him off because Saquon Barkley, as of 2 weeks ago, had 9 touches, which have ended at the 1 yard line. 9 times Saquon was tackled at the 1 yard line. It's the most in football. The very following play. Here's the list of the after those 9 touches, Jimbo. Hurts touchdown, Hurts touchdown, Hurts rush, followed by another touchdown by Hurts. So it took 2 tries that time. Then the next Hurts touchdown, then Hurts touchdown. Then they gave it to Saquon once. He lost yards. Hurts touchdown. Then Hurts rushed it again. He fumbled. And then the next time it happened, he rushed it again for a touchdown. So he has single-handedly stolen 9 additional touchdowns of the 1 yard variety, Jim.
Oh my gosh.
1 yard. Like, imagine, like, and I know my buddy, he's like, what the hell? Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if Saquon feels this way if you gave him some truth serum, but I might be a little irritated. Like, all right, can I get a 1 yard touchdown carry, please?
Right. Yeah, because he's certainly thinking if I get close, I got to seal the deal because if not, I ain't getting the ball back.
That's got to piss him off. 11 touchdowns rushing.
That's annoying. I'd be pretty pissed. Let him finish the drive.
Yeah, like he's earned it. He got all the way down there. And then as you can see here, AJ Brown leads the way. Exactly the same amount of targets as his running mate, Devonta Smith. But as you can see, 18 yards per catch versus 12 is a pretty big difference. And although
huge,
they only have 4 touchdowns apiece, AJ Brown is the guy you got to worry more so about. Devonta Smith looks like he's potentially going to play, but he's a worrisome guy too. Certainly a chain mover, and he can get open. But AJ Brown is the scary guy on the outside, the one who can really change the game. And then Dallas Goedert, solid, good player, can run for a tight end. Jahan Dotson, okay behind those guys, okay at best. But it's really those guys right there at the top that move the ball outside of Saquon in the backfield.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, Glenn. There was something I was going to mention here about these statistics, and now I have totally forgotten.
Sorry, I rambled, Jimbo. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No worries at all. It will come back to DK. That's what I was going to mention. You're talking about Saquon getting tackled with the 1. To the Ravens' credit, they let Derrick Henry, of course, finish those drives.
Yeah,
right? You gotta let your.
If they were going to QB sneak it, they would have Charlie Kohler or Mark Andrews do it.
Yeah, Lamar's like, I'm good. I don't want nothing to do with that. They can take all the touchdowns they want, right? But no, that's a good point, DK. Look, like you said, an exceptional, really good offense we're going up against, and I'm looking forward to my key defensive matchup. Roquan is back. It's gonna be Roquan against Saquon. The Quants.
I love
Quan on Quan action here, dude.
Quan on Quan. Play me a little Quan on Quan.
Right. Which Quan is gonna come out with the dove, dude? You like that?
That's right.
Off the top of the head, dude. All right. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that. Look, he hopefully has nursed the hamstring enough, but also got the rest to come out there and play well. Speaking of getting rest, I'll have a funny story for you. I'll tell you off air. I'm just wondering if my nephew is watching this, and if he is, I'm just gonna troll him a little bit. He said that he could beat me in basketball. He's 18, but he's like 6'1". This is his first year playing ball.
Don't do it to him, Jimmy.
So I gave him a 10-point spot. We only got to play to 11, but I start with the ball.
He's got a chance. Then I
start with the ball though.
Okay, all right. Well,
but we listen. The day I ran 34 miles, I dropped 5 buckets in a row.
DK doesn't know how you can hoop, man. He's never seen it. And when you just look at you go, there's no way this guy can hoop like he can. I know. DK, I'm telling you, if you saw Jimmy with a ball, you'd go, I see it now. You would go, I see it. First of all, he's quick as shit, DK. Second of all, he's way stronger than you'd think. Third, he can shoot. 4, he can handle the ball. Pretty good combination.
I appreciate that, Glenn. It's very nice. Yeah. It's very kind of you. I'm okay. But the point is that I put 5 up, and then I was like, all right, I ran 34 miles earlier. I'm chafing really bad.
So hold on. You did that after you ran 34 miles?
Yeah, just a couple hours later, yeah. Yeah. But we're going to finish the game. Maniac. We're going to finish the game eventually. So, Thomas,
spot him 10.5 next time, Jimbo. Give him 10.5.
Thomas, if you're watching, hopefully you don't get too much better between now and next time.
Just tell him to work on a short game, because that's what it's going to take. If he can just get you down low and just hit the easy ones.
Well, the thing is that as long as I keep the ball.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He's going to need to force the miss.
I bring all of that up to say that rest is really important, because I felt it every single time, because he was causing me to exert effort to get to the hole because I'm a shorter guy. And I was like, dude, if Rowe can get, if he's benefited from this rest now and come back, because it's gone a long time that Rowe's missed a game.
Yeah.
And had some extended rest. So look, dude, I feel like he can come out there and have a really big game, and it will certainly have an impact on the outcome of Saquon's game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Look, the tackling is my key. I mean, that's my key to the game, is tacklers against specifically Barkley and AJ Brown, because I worry like hell. If I see Brandon Stevens matched up against AJ Brown, if I was the Eagles, I wouldn't even just bomb it deep to him, which I'm sure they're going to do a lot of that too, to test our secondary to see, because they land a ton of chunk plays. I think if I wrote this down correctly, yeah, AJ Brown has 13 plays this year of 20 or more yards. So he's an explosive play waiting to happen, and he'll do it in a bunch of different ways, all of the ways that scare the shit out of me. They'll throw it up to him deep, which in our recent history, we've had some decent luck, but most of the season it's been either a penalty or a catch against our secondary, so that scares me. And then the thought of Brandon Stevens trying to tackle AJ Brown, even after a 2-yard, pass and catch, I have no confidence. So they have got to tackle Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown. If they tackle those two guys, even if other guys go off and get theirs, then they're fine. Because Saquon and AJ Brown break the game open for these guys. They motivate the rest of the team. They get energized the rest of the team. Everyone goes crazy when Barkley and AJ Brown go off. So just limit those two. If Devontae does his thing, if Dallas Goedert does his thing, okay. But tackle those two guys. And I think a big part of that is going to be our Darius Washington. There's going to be times where he's going to be the guy. Him and Saquon. Can he make that tackle? Can you please make that tackle? I can't wait to see it. I have confidence in our Darius Washington. I don't care how big you are. I think our Darius will get you on the ground. But Saquon's as good as they get, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to that point, Glenn, I'm actually going to go with this running mate as my key defensive player this game, Kyle Hamilton, because I think Kyle will do a lot to disrupt things in the backfield more traditionally as our Darius gets more accustomed to his role. I know that Kyle's role has kind of shifted with our Darius being out there, but I think the more and more they play together, we'll see Kyle back down around the box, doing more things to be an absolute game wrecker like he's been in the past. This will be a big one. I think he gets some timing stuff on Jalen Hurts. There's potential. I'm into the crystal ball. I'm envisioning him absolutely destroying an RPO type scenario where there's a mesh point situation and he times it right, gets in the backfield. Something happens there involving Kyle Hamilton and him making a big game-breaking play. So I'm going with Kyle Hamilton. I'm really looking forward to that one.
I hope you are right. I think both those guys have got to be big. It's crazy to think that like Ardarius at this point in the season would have such an impactful role on this defense. Like Marcus Williams he's an afterthought at this point. It's the Ardarius Washington, Kyle Hamilton show.
Yep.
But Blackula asked a good question earlier. I'm kind of curious what you think here, Jimbo. Assuming we have a full healthy defensive line, meaning Pierce is out there, Travis, Broderick, and Metabike, and they come out in the tush push. What do you think our chances are at stopping the tush push? Is it stoppable?
You know what's the thing for me is that Jalen Hurts is the problem.
I know he squats like 8,000 pounds.
Yeah, he's a power lifter.
His dad is like a lifting coach.
Yeah, so like, what do you do? I mean, he can just, it's like he puts the haunches on and he just moves you forward. It's not so. I'll say this: anybody that's seen Michael Pierce in real life, his stats say I think he's 6 foot. Lie, bold-faced lie. That dude ain't north of 5'10". And so anyone says that he's only 340, also a lie.
And I think he said Travis Jones is the strongest player he's ever played with.
Right, but my point is that he can get so low. Because you remember how low Jason Kelce used to get in that tush push? Like, I feel like dude is the absolute definition of a fire hydrant.
Oh yeah.
So there's a chance.
Okay.
Bring it is what I say. Bring it, baby.
Oh, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see it.
Definitely.
It's just a matter of the odds there. We're gonna see it. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely can't wait for this game because this just smells like a Detroit Lions game from last year, like the Niners game from last year, where everyone's gonna build it up and they're gonna talk about the big bad bullies from the NFC taking on the big bad bullies from the AFC. Who's gonna win? And we know how that usually goes for the NFC. Like we usually destroy them. And really just wipe our feet on them like a doormat. So I can't wait. I hope that they play to their best. But, Jimbo, it might come down to something as simple as this. They're the 22nd team when it comes to penalties, and we're by far number one. If we can somehow come out of this game without game-breaking penalties against us, if just keep it somewhat – I tell you what, if we don't get more than 2 more penalties than they do, I think we win the game. I think we just keep the penalties close, guys. Don't shoot yourself in the foot too much, and I think we'll be fine.
I like it. I really like that one, Glenn. I hope that ends up being the case. Hopefully that ends up being the case, certainly. But, look, we got our competition coming up, which is I know what a lot of you folks are here for. So make sure, as always, to put in your submissions after the show's over in the comment section or any place you find us on social media using 410 Sports Talk. Certainly you'll be able to find us. In the direct message section, you can submit your answers or your guesses. Please do so before the game with an opportunity to win some swag from yours truly, 410 Sports Talk. But we also got to shout out our winner from last week who, if DK wants to throw up here, went 4 for 4. This is John Anco. There we go. John Anco. Shout out to you, John. We will make sure you contact us to send your information in via DM. And we will get that out to you. Please give us a little extra time with the holidays, being that things takes a little extra on the holidays. But we will certainly get it to you. DK, internally, who won our competition? Just curious from last week. Did you win again, DK?
Smiling.
Son yes! There we go. All right. Somehow I'm happy now when Glenn wins. I don't know what happened.
Everyone is, because I'm the people's champ. Jimmy, celebrate with everyone.
I'm happy, but I'm just tired of DK winning.
Yes. 4 for 4. Yes. I mean, of course I was. I mean, duh.
Yeah, you're like 4 for 4. Oh, wait.
Hold on, dude. I expected that, Jimbo. I'm not surprised at all. So is that awesome. 2 in a row? Living legend. Yes, living legend. The GOAT has arrived.
Did I win last week? Yeah, DK's like, bruh.
Or did I win the week before? I think I've won 2 out of 3. Okay. All right. Hey, DK, don't rain on my parade, okay? Don't burst my excitement bubble, okay? This guy, he's trying to pee in my Cheerios, all right? Don't do it. Yes. Celebrate, pop the bottles. Yes, I love it. Okay, all right. For this week's competition, let's get into, first and foremost, our intro.
To my on the bad fly, tryna let they cast stock, homie, let them know you here. All my ladies that be mad high, get me off like mad lies, shawty, let me get this clear. Okay, Baltimore the backdrop, rep it like a mascot, I'ma let them know we here. All my ladies.
And of course, shout out to DULA Sincere for the awesome music. Just want to make sure we're shouting him out. Of course, he does our intro music. If you want to find any stuff, I'm sure you can find it anywhere you listen to music. But all that being said, let's do it, DK. Number one, what's the first of our 4 entries or questions for our over-under competition? Ravens first down, 17.5 is the line. Over-under, it was 19 last week. 17.5 is the line this week. And I'm going over.
Over. Okay. I'm going to say under. Only because I think we get some more chunk plays, which will lower the amount of first downs, but ultimately still lead to the same amount of points and yardage. 17.5, that's a lot. Now 18 first downs. I think we've had wins where we've had like 10.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that was a high week last week. I'm going to say under. DK.
But we could, to your point, we could deploy the same tactic the other teams have and just run the ball decent amount, But all right, fair. What's DK say?
He says under as well.
All right.
So, this is your first opportunity to jump into the lead here, Jimbo. But
or
all right,
the loss,
which is what I'm rooting on. Derrick Henry.
After I just finished celebrating your win, here we go. Nice.
Well, I'm the people's champ, Jimbo. Everyone celebrates when I win. Derrick Henry rushing yards, 119.5 is where he sets the over/under after 140 last week. Jimbo, it looks like a like-minded thinking on this.
Yeah, I'm going over here, and this is simply because Derrick's going to outrush Saquon.
Okay. How about total yards? And you include receiving as well.
I'm not ready to give an answer on that one.
Okay. All right. Next, I say over as well, and looks like DK does also. So a clean sweep. Everyone says over. The next one, I think this should become a permanent staple on our over-under until these guys get their S
I like it too. I mean, it too.
Holy, if this isn't like this is probably the most consistent, that in the secondary, the most consistent issue with this team is penalties. It's absolutely insane. 7.5 is where DK puts the over-under. And until we show otherwise, I'm going to answer this question with over every time.
Yeah, I'm going over as well. No reason to change it.
It's crazy. It's embarrassing. It's not good. Look, the next one, Saquon rushing yards, 119.5 is where he sets it. He had 255 last week, Jimmy. That's just stupid. And if you guys didn't see the highlight of him jumping over someone backwards 2 weeks ago, just pull that up and enjoy that because it's absolutely insane. So I'm going to say over only because I have some doubts about our rush defense and that, like you mentioned earlier, Jimbo, is it a result of our offense being so good? Is it a result of our pass defense being so anemic that they just said, hey, we'll just throw it? I'm not so sure. I'm not sold that our defense can hold Saquon under 120. So I say over. Looks like Jimmy had to cover his camera. He says over under, by the way. So him and DK confident we can get Saquon held down and not be the game breaker and wrecker that he is. So I'm the only one that says over. They both say under. All right, first tiebreaker. Over under 50.5 points is where DK sets it. I will continue to put the over as my answer until this offense stops being absolutely historic. And these are two very good offenses running into each other. And I just don't have a lot of confidence in our defense that we can shut them down. And I think we're going to put up our fair share. So for that reason, I say over. What do you think, Jimbo?
Yeah, you're talking about the score, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going with 34-27 Ravens win. I'm going with over. And I don't think it's as close. I agree with you, Glenn. I'm feeling a little bit of the Lions type game.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling a little bit of that. Look, my grandmother had a saying when we used to get a little too full of ourselves. She said, "You getting a little too big for your britches." So I think it might be one of those games for the Eagles. They get knocked down a peg or two. So I'm going 34-27, and I think the 7 in that 20 happens late and is pretty insignificant.
Kind of like the Chargers game.
The Chargers game, where like in score looked more, closer than it was, but really wasn't.
Okay.
DK also says over, so all going over on this one.
Hey, quickly, Jimbo, I put this down in my notes, and I'm glad that Cohere Multimedia brings it up. Monken did have 4 defensive Georgia players
that's
on the
true.
team that he practiced against every day. It was a long time ago, different scheme, but does that give him any sort of a personnel edge?
100%. It has to. He knows these players better than anybody else in the NFL, presumably, except, I think that is a huge advantage. That's a good point. He's probably telling his offensive linemen what things to say to infuriate and getting
that's
them
the first thing that popped in my mind. Like,
right.
What sensitive shit they can say to make this guy lose his cool in the field. Yes. 100%.
Telling
whatever
him
he's
girlfriend's
sensitive about.
name.
Yes. Tell him his mom's name.
Right.
Damn it.
Like, bro, me and
how's Dolores doing?
Yeah, me and Shelby went out to dinner last night. We were at Jimmy's Seafood, you know what I mean, type thing. So
yes, anything you can say to piss that guy off and hopefully get a penalty or
Shelby
or
and Dolores. Look at the names we That's okay. My mom's name is Doris, so it had to be something like that, right? Like,
that's right. That's
generational
right. But yeah,
thing.
that's the first thing I thought of too, is more so not just like their weaknesses on the field, mentally. How can we mess with this guy? Because let me tell you what, if he has his A game, he is going to wreck shit. Okay?
Yep,
so anything just throw him off and make him not have his A game. I love it. All right, last one. Closest to the pin, yardage total prediction. I'm going to say 405 because I think we've been pretty consistently around that 400 mark. And so I'm just trying to win here, guys. That's all.
Yeah.
405.
I think that's a good number, Glenn. I give it a little bit of an uplift because we're at home. So I'm going to go 440. And I feel pretty good about that. I'm down from 560 yards.
Yes, you are. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
And
DK says 390.
The least faithful Ravens fan comes in at 390.
This guy. Does he even like the Ravens?
Right. Like, what is this, dude? Come on,
I
DK.
can't tell. Is he wearing green? Check his outfit.
DK's got you can't see it, but he's got an Eagles onesie on that he got he's got his Christmas onesie and it's Eagles.
It's not even it's footy pajamas. It's got the feet in them.
Right, that's what I'm exactly. He's got like the little Eagles logo as buttons, you know?
I know it. This guy can't be trusted.
DK.
Can't be trusted. But yeah, I think this is going to be 23-1. So I was off. I said 20-1. That is just such a that shouldn't even be possible. Like, right?
When we make the Super Bowl, they're going to be talking about that for 2 weeks straight. So get ready for that one.
That's a good point. And you know what? We won't have to worry about playing that one team that did beat us because that was the Giants, and they're an absolute dumpster fire. So at least we don't have to worry about. Yeah, exactly. Of all the teams that could have beaten us, it was the Giants that beat us that actually did it. Let's see how this game ends up. It's going to be a fun one. But don't forget, guys, we will be back right here after the game is over to give you all our reactions, recaps of the game. And look, it could be a therapy session or it could be celebration time. I think it's the latter. But either way, we'll be here for all of it and absolutely can't wait. Hope you guys have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.